What a weekend for the NFL playoffs. The divisional round just concluded, and there was a couple games that were really close, and then there was the 49ers Seahawks, which was basically unwatchable this past weekend. I'm going to run through all the games, kind of discuss last week, and then what I expect for this upcoming week for the championship round in the NFL. So let's start. Bills-Broncos was Saturday, the first game on Saturday, and it was a great game. It did end up going to overtime, and Denver did win this one. Josh Allen had a chance to win this game in overtime and kind of just let it slip. But the Broncos played really well. Bo Nix played really well, and it was a high-scoring game. The over hit in this one, 63 total points. Let me see if I can go. Let's go to the box score here. Bo Nix, 3 touchdowns, 279 passing yards. The Bills' defense has been exposed this season multiple times. They really hadn't had a dominant performance against a great offensive team, and Denver wasn't even really that great of an offense this past weekend. There's just holes in the Bills' defense that they exposed. They didn't even get anything going on the ground. It was literally all through the air, and then defense as well for Denver. Bo Nix did sustain that ankle injury at the end of the game, which really sucks for Denver and Bo Nix. He will not be playing the rest of the season, they announced. So they are going to be hosting New England on Sunday. I believe that's the first game on Sunday. They're going to be hosting New England, and that's going to be a really tough game for them with a backup quarterback. I don't know what their game plan is going to be in that game, but it's going to be tough to win with a backup quarterback. Jarrett Stidham is going to start that game, and I don't think he's started a game in a while. I think since 2023. So that's going to be pretty tough for Denver. Now with Buffalo, Josh Allen played pretty well. He did have 2 interceptions, but threw for 280, 3 touchdowns. Really spread the ball around. Found Kincaid and Shakir. I feel like going forward, Kincaid right now is probably the best receiving threat in this offense, although Khalil Shakir has come on later in the season. I believe in the first playoff game he had 12 catches. This game he had 7 catches. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do this offseason because they need a wide receiver 1 in this offense. Josh Allen is great, but he can't do it all, and with the receiving options that he does have, it really just limits his ability. James Cook ran for 117, didn't score, but he didn't really need to. He kind of did his part, 117 rushing yards against a good Denver defense. Denver's defense is pretty good. They put up 30 points, so they need to shore up the defense in the offseason, and then they need to figure out what they're going to do at wide receiver. I'd expect them to look to both those places in the upcoming draft. And then with Denver going forward, it is really tough for them because they had a great win over the Bills and now are going to be without their quarterback. So that's going to be tough. We'll preview that a little bit later on today once we get to that game. But I think they're going to struggle a lot. The Patriots are favored in that game, I believe, by 3.5 points. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do in that one. Other game on Saturday was 49ers Seahawks. This was an absolute blowout pretty much from the start. Purdy didn't play well. Christian McCaffrey got hurt mid-game. He did come back in, but it was only for limited snaps. You see their run game didn't get going. Seattle also returned the opening kickoff, which just started the game on a really shitty note for San Francisco, and then they really couldn't get anything going after that. I believe had 2 field goals. It didn't even score a touchdown. The 49ers could not get anything going. Obviously, Kittle out for this game. The tight end Tungus, he's been pretty good when Kittle's been out this season, but Kittle's not replaceable. And then McCaffrey being out, he was literally their only weapon on offense that could even pose a threat to Seattle, and he got hurt. He got hurt and then came back in for a little bit, but he was out for most of the game. And then Seattle pretty much did whatever they wanted to. Zach Charbonnet did go down in this game. Yeah, I believe he has a torn ACL, so he's not going to be with the team for the rest of the season. Kenneth Walker stepped up in a pretty big way, though. 19 carries, 116 yards, and then also added 3 touchdowns. So he'll be someone that I'm looking for this upcoming weekend as far as player props and betting-wise, because I believe he's set up to have a pretty good game against the Rams. And Darnold did what he had to do. I mean, he only threw the ball 17 times, did throw a touchdown, only 120 yards, but they ran the ball and played great defense, and that's pretty much what won them this game. JSN didn't even really get involved. 3 catches. He did catch a touchdown. I believe that was his first catch of the game. I expect him to have to throw more against the Rams than they did in this game against the 49ers. So overall, great game for Seattle, and they are going to be hosting the Rams, which also is really beneficial for them. But they're gonna need to rely more on Sam Darnold in this next game, especially now that Charbonnet's done. Charbonnet's definitely done for the season. The 49ers this offseason, I know they're already losing Robert Saleh, their defensive coordinator. He's going to be the head coach in Tennessee. They didn't even really have a great defense this year. They need to get healthy. I mean, I feel like I'm always saying that about the 49ers, but they need to get healthy. I think Purdy is still the guy. They need to get McCaffrey fully healthy, Kittle fully healthy, and they probably need to add to their defense and their receiving core. They don't really have a wide receiver one. They have Pearsall, who could possibly develop into something more than he is now, but look at how many people they got involved this past weekend. They need to find a guy in either free agency or draft a guy that they're confident in starting at wide receiver. And then on Sunday, Texans, Patriots, Rams, Bears. Texans lost to the Patriots, and it was pretty bad offensively for Houston. I fully expected this to happen. CJ Stroud has looked terrible in the playoffs. He looked terrible against the Steelers. They won pretty much because of their defense. And now the Patriots defense got him. Four interceptions in this one. Did throw a touchdown and did throw for 200 yards, but the 4 interceptions just absolutely killed him. I believe they also fumbled. I think Woody Marks fumbled too. So a lot of turnovers in this one, and that did not help them at all. No Nico Collins for Houston either in this game, so that was a detriment at wide receiver, although Jaden Higgins looked pretty good. He did have 6 catches, and he's probably their wide receiver 2 going into next season. And I think Woody Marks is a good running back. I mean, he just got shut down by New England's defense, and CJ Stroud didn't look good throwing, so I'm not shocked that they just loaded the box and kind of stuffed Marks on every attempt. He had 14 attempts, only ran for 17 yards. And I believe a bunch of those were negative plays, which added to that number being so low. And then New England played pretty well. Their offense struggled at times, and Drake May did throw a pick, and then he did fumble. I think he fumbled multiple times. I'm not sure. Yeah, he had four fumbles, 2 lost fumbles, and that can't happen going forward if they're going to win next week and if they're going to win in the Super Bowl if they get there, because you can't turn the ball over that many times. The other team will just capitalize. The Texans didn't because of CJ Stroud and their offense, and just it wasn't clicking, but other offenses will capitalize on that and definitely take advantage. So he's got to hold on to the ball. when he does hold on to the ball, their offense is pretty good. Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs played really well. They need to get Hunter Henry involved more. I think that would help their offense too. And then Ramondre Stevenson and Henderson are a good 1-2 punch at running back. I think this is a good offense. I think they need to just settle down a little bit, focus on ball control, and they have a good shot at going to the Super Bowl, honestly. And then also the Texans. So the Texans in free agency. I really don't know what you do with C.J. Stroud. I think if he's going to play like that, like you might need to consider maybe this next year being his last year, or think about possibly moving on from him. He just didn't look good at all, and their defense was a Super Bowl caliber defense, and their offense was so bad that like their offense could not help them at all in this game. So you need to think about that going forward for future years. Might need to consider moving on from C.J. Stroud. And then the last game was Rams at Bears, and the Rams did end up pulling this one out. 2017 in overtime, and it was not great conditions, so that makes sense why the under hit and it was so low scoring. But the quarterbacks actually played pretty well, except for Williams' interceptions, but Stafford, 258, did throw a bunch. And even with that, Kyron scored twice. So that was nice to see. I think the Rams have a pretty legit shot at beating Seattle next week. I know they're going to be going into Seattle in a tough environment, but they've already played them twice this year. They have a veteran quarterback and a great coach in Sean McVay. So I think they have a good shot at competing, or if not winning, that game. Now, didn't throw for a touchdown, Stafford. Really did spread the ball around. Devontae Adams was like a non-factor pretty much in this one. You have to figure out a way to get him the ball more in these games. I know he had 6 targets, only caught 2. It was definitely a tough environment. It was snowing, cold. That's understandable, but when you have Devontae Adams and Puka, like you gotta be able to feed them targets, and they have to make catches in order for this offense to work. Kyron Williams can only do so much. They gave him 21 carries, did run for 87 yards and got in twice, but I think Seattle's defense is going to be a lot tougher than Chicago. Chicago's defense has been horrible to end the season. They gave up, I believe, one of the last weeks of the season, I think they gave up 40 to the 49ers, and then they could not stop whoever they played in the first round. Scored 2, I believe. I'm not even sure. Oh yeah, the Packers. Packers with a beat up Packers team put up 27 on them. So it's not like the Bears defense was good at all. And they only scored 20. And obviously the environment was a little bit of a factor, but yeah, their offense can be stopped, especially in the weather. The weather was an impact. For Chicago, Caleb Williams played pretty well. He makes sometimes his decision making is just not the best. And then sometimes he has like incredible plays where the one play, the touchdown to take it to overtime, where he went back like 15 yards and then just chucked in the end zone. I mean, plays like that work, and it's like he's incredible, but sometimes he makes horrible decisions. And then the run game was pretty well against the Rams. Swift ran for 76. I think that's why I do like Kenneth Walker next weekend, because Swift, 19 carries, 76 yards against the Rams. I think it's going to be a better environment to play in, first off, for the Seahawks against the Rams. And then they also probably have a better decision-making quarterback with Sam Darnold, and then JSN. They have weapons. So, and now with Charbonnet being hurt, I think Kenneth Walker should get pretty much every carry at running back next weekend. So I will have player props for both games next weekend. I'll probably come out with those in a few days, just so that you have them and you can get them in before the weekend starts. But for Chicago, they have the pieces to win. I think they need to shore up a couple things. Their defense, they need to add a couple defenders. Their secondary kind of struggled. And then, I don't know. I don't know if Swift's on a contract. Swift has been great for them. As far as receiver, I think someone needs to really step up as like the dominant. Like Loveland, obviously rookie. I'm sure he'll develop even more next season, and I think he could be their number one target. Kind of like he essentially could be like a Brock Bowers, like just a target hog, gets a bunch of targets and catches and be great for them. I don't really know how the like DJ Moore, Odunze, and then Burden situation goes, because all of them can't be fully involved in every game. It's just too many mouths to feed. But if one or two of them steps up, this offense could be really, really good. And then if they shore up the defense, they're going to be right back in the playoffs next season. And then next weekend will be the championship weekend. Patriots are going to be traveling to Denver, and then the Rams are going to be traveling to Seattle. Early in the week, just from what I've looked at so far, Patriots are favored by, I think, 3.5, actually 5.5 now. They should win straight up against a backup quarterback. McDaniels is a great offensive coordinator. I think he'll be able to scheme up enough to expose Denver's defense. And then, obviously, Vrabel's a huge defensive guy. And I think they'll be able to stop their backup quarterbacks. I know Stidham, I honestly have no idea what to expect. That's also going to be kind of tough for this upcoming weekend because haven't seen him play. I don't know how Denver's wide receivers are going to be. I don't know how they're going to use the run game. I don't know if it's going to be like a run-focused type game. But the Patriots defense has shown that they're one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the playoffs right now. So I don't see a way. I really don't see a way New England like gets blown out, and I think they should keep it close or just crush Denver. And then with the Rams-Seahawks game, Seattle is favored by 2.5. Over-under is a little bit higher, which makes sense. I believe one of their games, though, this season was like a 13-3 game or like a 13-7 game or something. So I don't know what to expect. Seattle's defense has shown up occasionally, and then the Rams defense has also played pretty well. I mean, they just held the Bears to, what was that, 17 points, which is pretty good. If they can hold the Seahawks to 17 points, I think they can win the game. Although it is in Seattle, so that does matter a little bit. But I'll dive into both these games, find player props that I like for these, and then kind of go from there. I'll probably put them out this week on my Twitter over here. I did also want to touch on a couple of the coaching situations too. Bills did fire Sean McDermott after their loss to Denver. And I really don't know how I feel about this because he's been to the playoffs 4 straight seasons, and 2 seasons were to the AFC Championship. So it's not like he was doing a horrible job. I understand like he couldn't get over the hump, but it's not like he is missing the playoffs or having horrible seasons. Obviously, the Bills' job is probably the best opening as of now, and there's already coaches that are taking other jobs, so I think the Bills are definitely behind the eight ball with hiring a head coach. I don't even really know where I would start with that. This D'Amico Ryans asked about a potential long-term extension for Stroud. He's not getting into that right now. I don't see a world where they re-sign C.J. Stroud. He just hasn't shown that he can run offense, especially when they get in the playoffs and then have to travel to cold weather stadiums. He hasn't looked good at all. The Dolphins, I believe, he did sign a 5-year deal to be the Dolphins head coach, Jeff Hafley. Don't really know much about him. Let me look and see. Also, Robert Saleh is going to be the Titans head coach. This for the Titans, so with the Jets, 4-13, 7-10, 7-10, 2-3, and then fired. And then also now going to the Titans working with Cam Ward. He's a defensive coach. He's a defensive coordinator. He was a defensive coordinator for San Francisco, and now he's going to be the head coach. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's going to work well. So he is expected to call defensive plays for the Titans, which that's great. I think they're obviously their defense could improve a lot. He's a great defensive coach, so that could work out for them. But they're going to need to bring in an offensive coach to work with Cam Ward, and then obviously draft and sign guys to build around him. Mike McCarthy considered a candidate for the Steelers head coaching position. That could be an interesting hire for the Steelers. I can definitely see the Steelers doing that, hiring a veteran coach like McCarthy. I believe I saw another coach that the Steelers were considering. I don't know where that is. This is great news for the Giants. Malik Neighbors trending towards hopefully being ready for the starting training camp, and then Scatabo also expected available for the start of off-season program, which is great for them. Get those two young players back and then just build around them. I also hiring John Harbaugh. That's a great hire for the Giants. I mean, I know he hasn't necessarily won the big game, but he has had a bunch of great teams in the past. I mean, he's been getting to playoffs. I think it's a good hire for the Giants. This just popped up. This is interesting. Mike McDaniel has informed the Browns he's dropping out. He's withdrawing from their head coaching search. I mean, do I blame him? Really? No. I don't really blame him for that. I wouldn't want to coach the Browns either. I don't know who the Browns are going to hire. And now with all these openings, like the Bills, I mean, what coach would want to go to the Browns over the Bills? So I think they might be in some trouble as far as finding a head coach, the Browns. Let's go down, see if I missed anything crazy. So Schefter, J.K. Dobbins has his 21-day practice window open. I don't think he won't be back for this week. And then if they lose, they're done obviously anyway. We already talked about Charbonnet. Charbonnet's done for the season. That just sucks. He's been so good for their offense, and I really thought this offseason, Kenneth Walker's a free agent. I thought that this offseason they might not re-sign Kenneth Walker and just let Zach Charbonnet be their full-time running back, and they might still do that, but coming back from the ACL and MCL injuries are just really tough. So that sucks for Charbonnet. And then I love how for the Bills, I love how they fired their coach. They're retaining their GM Brandon Beane, who probably needs to go. like he's talked about other teams like playing, basically comparing how they're running their organization to playing fantasy football or like playing Madden, which is crazy. Yeah, that's pretty much all the news. So I think we covered most of it, and then obviously both the games for this upcoming weekend, they should be great games. I believe. I mean, at least the spreads are a touchdown or less. I do think the Broncos are going to struggle, and then I think honestly, I'd probably lean Seattle in this one, especially if their defense shows up. I think they have a really good shot at winning this one. But I'll dig into both these games, find some player props that look appealing, and then we'll get going towards the end of this week. I'll probably do a live stream on like Thursday or Friday, just breaking down the player props that I found, and then also gonna probably record some videos for off-season fantasy football, which is really exciting. They'll also be posted on this page, so definitely looking forward to doing that, as well as the betting aspect. And then the Super Bowl will be here literally before we know it. So all that's super exciting. Can't wait for all that. And for now, I'll see you next time.